Alrighty, watch fans, it's time for another Hotness pick, and I've got a good one for you. Now, you're going to have to pay attention. There's 5 options that are going to be available for you here. 3 in stainless steel, 2 in the gunmetal IP plated versions. Otherwise, the watches are identical, and of course different dial colors or treatments to go along with that. And there are 2 slightly different prices. The one that you see here, the stainless steel version, and I'll give you a shot of all of them, is going to be $108. The gunmetal versions are going to be $115, just slightly more expensive. And if you're wondering why, if you've watched any of the shows that I used to do on television, I've been telling you for years, black and gunmetal are more expensive. For what you're getting here, both of these are phenomenal deals. I'll show you the gunmetal options in detail a little bit later. I want to show you the first 3 in the stainless steel. The first one that I am showing you, oh, and by the way, it would probably help to tell you what this is. Let me back up a little bit here. This is obviously from Android. You can see that on the dial. This is model number AD659. This is the Frontline or Frontline 9015. And yes, that is 9015 as in Miyota 9015. Automatic movement. We'll get into that as well. But this is your first option, all stainless steel, charcoal gray, or even if you prefer, I wouldn't argue with you, gunmetal dial. Then our second option, and I'm going to rotate the camera here, so bear with me if we shake just a little bit, is going to be that really bright lime green that Android is really known for. Some of the color pops that really come out of that. Let me turn. As you can see, just like the gray or gunmetal dial, done in the stainless steel, and with a little bit of radiance on that dial. Going to scoot over one more time. Let's bring this one a little bit better into focus here, why don't we? Then you're going to get kind of a metallic baby blue in color. Really like that. It pops. If you're looking for color pops, we've got color pops for you. So blue, green, and gunmetal. That is your option. This any, just going to be one of those days. Any of these 3 options is going to be $108 for this timepiece. Now let's go ahead, take a deeper look. Now here's the other 2 options that I mentioned to you. These are the gunmetal options. The gunmetal options are going to run you just a few dollars more, $115. This is going to be gunmetal with that Android purple dial that's been done on that. You can see the radiance as well that I mentioned just a moment ago. And then if we rotate the camera over, here is the all gunmetal version that is going to give you that charcoal gray, or again, like I said, if you prefer, I wouldn't argue with you, a gunmetal dial that's been done on that as well. Otherwise, these are absolutely the exact same watches. 2 crowns, which we'll get into and what that functionality is. As you can see, if I rotate that there, if we come back around to look at the bracelet, exact same single piece link bracelet design. We'll get into that and what the design elements there are on this particular timepiece. The bezel is the same, the case, everything is the same. Just different dials, different plating. Otherwise, got a little bit of glare there, sorry about that. That is it. Now let's take a detailed review of this timepiece and show you why this is an incredible deal and explain some more why you really want to jump on this and do so quickly. Okay, watch fans, like I said, detailed look into the Frontline, the Android AD659. Once again, just to hit you on the pricing, stainless steel models are going to be $108. The 2 gunmetal options are going to be $115. And by the way, don't worry about that. When you click on the buy button, it's going to take you to the Android site. to the special page that they have set up for the Hotness pick. It'll all be readily apparent. All the pricing is there. You know, nothing goofy's going on. It'll be very, very clear. So work with me on that. It's not that hard to figure out. We'll be good to go here. Now, I have chosen the all stainless steel with the gunmetal or charcoal gray dial to be the one that I'm going to work with for this detailed review. And in my personal opinion, ever so humble that it is, this is the Hotness pick out of the Hotness pick. If you want splashes of color, man, it's there. That very unique shade of blue is very cool. The purple dial that's been done on the all gunmetal version is absolutely gorgeous. And then you get that all monochromatic effect of the charcoal gray or gunmetal dial in the gunmetal plated option, as well as that very vibrant almost neon green that Android has done so many times and been so successful with. However, why do I like this one? Well, as you can see there, stainless steel you can make work in a lot of different situations, but I love the contrast that you get between the silver tone of the stainless steel and then the charcoal gray or the gunmetal that's been done on the dial. I love the way the Super Luminova in the green stands out against that, and yes, we are talking about Super Luminova. But let's dive into this timepiece, no pun intended, and go from there. As you may be able to tell, this is a military-inspired timepiece, even starting with the name, Frontline, as in the front line of the battle. And actually, wearing this watch, I think you'll be on the front line of battling against boring watches. Yeah, how did that work? Well, we'll see. Anyway, you've got the Arabic numerals that have been done here, as you can see, are a little bit of a stencil kind of a design that's been done on there, a little bit of a military inspiration. And as I rotate this watch around, just to give you an idea on the bracelet, what Wing was going for there was primarily a tank tread design. The track, I believe, is the proper term to use for that. Those of you that were in the military, armored, would probably be able to correct me on that, but I think I am right. So you've got a little bit of the military inspiration, but with a diver as well. So what would I call this? Would be a diver's, a military-inspired diver's watch, or a military diver-style timepiece, however you want to say that. And why diver? Well, it is 200 meters water resistant, and one of the things we'll get into is this chapter ring you see going around the outside. That's actually an inner rotating bezel, which, in case you hadn't noticed, is the reason why there are two crowns on this particular timepiece. One at the 2, one at the 4. But we'll dive into that in just a second. Traditional measurement on this timepiece is going to be 50 millimeters in case diameter, and again, that's always measured this way, not including the crown. Crown is not included on that. Fixed bezel design. It is a relatively thick timepiece. We'll flip around here to the 9 o'clock side so you can see a little bit more of what's going on there. As you can see, going to be riding a little bit higher on the wrist, but fortunately for us, again, Wing has done the shortened lug design. Now, if you haven't seen any of my videos before, what does that short lug design mean? It's going to fit small wrists and large wrists as well. Some larger timepieces that get into these really long sloping lugs, if you have an oversized wrist or even just over a certain size, it won't sit flush on the top of the wrist comfortably. It'll ride on top, and that's not a good thing. Okay, here you can see the bracelet. Very, very thick. I think from top to bottom it is over 5 millimeters in thickness, and do keep in mind the center links do ride a little bit higher. Again, they're going to be elevated, and elevated is something that you'll see used on this in a couple of different places, one of which, and let me try and turn this again to get some of the glare off of there, is going to be number one with these stations or chevrons that have been done on the bezel. That is a fixed bezel, by the way, and that is one of the reasons why we have an inner rotating bezel, but again, more on that later. But what I want you to notice is see how each one of those rides above. Then notice the crystal. You can see the frosted edge, almost like a Hesselite crystal that's been done on that. This is a hardened mineral crystal, impact resistant, plus scratch resistance as well, that's been built into that. But notice, and let me make sure I get the angle right without getting the glare, the crystal actually rides above the case where it is not flush with the case, but flush with the outside edge of these chevrons or stations on the bezel as well. Now if we go back to the dial work, we'll work back outside to the rest of the watch here in just a second. You're going to see this is a three-hand automatic movement, as we already talked about, standard date display. They're at the 4 o'clock position. Now, you'll notice the very smooth sweep of the second hand. That is going to give you an indication that this is an automatic in most cases. And you'll notice down here it's giving you the information that you need. In particular, this is the wonderful, and I say that because I have several in my collection, Miyota 9015 24 joule three-hand automatic movement operating at 28,800 vibrations per hour. We'll circle back around to that in just a moment. The tips of the hands, as well as your Arabic numerals and your diver scale, the markings for your diver scale. When zeroed, that is between the 12 and the 3 o'clock position. All done in Super Luminova, so it is going to glow very nice for you, for those of you that are into your loom, which I know some of you are. One of the things you're going to notice, especially if you pay attention to all of the images that I have in the that rotating slideshow at the top of the page, hopefully you checked all of those out. The hands do glow brighter than the rest of the luminous or the Super Luminova that's been done on there, and there's a reason for this, and this is one of the important things to bring out to you. Those hands are hollowed out, okay? So there's actually a little cavity that's being filled there, and what that does is it allows the hand maker to be able to put more of the Super Luminova into the tips of the hands than they can over top of, for instance, each one of these numerals you see going around the dial. Now, if there were cutouts done in the dial that they were filling, then it would be different, but that's why your hour and minute hands are going to glow brighter than the rest of the watch. But that's the whole point, right, is to be able to see the tips of the hands very, very quickly. 316L stainless steel being utilized on this timepiece. Nothing there of any surprise. That is what you would be expecting. On the 50mm case is going to give you that fixed bezel design with the dots, to use that technical term, that have been done around that in different sizes to indicate your minute, or depending on how you're using it, your second indications going across that entire fixed bezel. Now, excuse me, having a real problem talking this morning. Let's talk about this inner rotating bezel. And first, we're going to go to the crowns. You're going to see two different crowns, and really kind of decorated two different ways. The one in particular that we're going to talk about first is going to be this one at the 2 o'clock position. Notice the red arrow, and it is going in a clockwise direction because that's how you're going to turn that crown. Do not, by the way, try to turn this in a counterclockwise direction. As soon as you do, you will notice tension. Tension on a watch crown means stop. Any kind of crown. Whether you're winding the main crown on this, anything. When you feel tension, stop. The tension is telling you you're doing something wrong. Or maybe a better way to say it is that there is something wrong. If you force this in a counterclockwise direction, you probably will completely unscrew that crown and it will come out of the case. Then you're going to be on the phone talking to Wing or one of the great folks with customer service. That's why the red arrow is there. Now, I think it adds actually to the military design and inspiration of this timepiece, but it is trying to tell you clockwise only. Now, many of you have probably been thinking to yourselves, well, Mike, I've seen other companies do inter-rotating bezels. Yes, you have. And usually they're free spinning, right? And for some of you that are a little anal retentive, and I know how watch folks can be, because, well, I am one, you'd look down and you'd see that inter-rotating bezel because you've bumped your wrist or something into that and caused that inter-rotating bezel to turn. And now it's out of alignment, and then you're constantly adjusting it all day. Some of you really don't care one way or the other. You notice it, you get time, you change it. Otherwise, other folks get a little agitated with that. This is a clicking, now not screw down, okay, a clicking inter-rotating bezel. So that when I turn this, as I said, you guys are already kind of familiar with this, and actually I'm going to scoot this in just a little bit, so that when I turn this, now I'm not going to talk as I'm doing this. Now I don't have an external microphone set up on this, but I'm not going to talk for a second. I'm just going to turn the bezel. I don't know if you'll be able to hear the audible clicks. Me sitting here, I can hear them very clearly, even not having the watch on, right? So hope you heard that. So the point here is this is a more expensive build. When you put in the mechanism to be able to interact with that crown and the inner rotating bezel. Well, first of all, inner rotating bezel more expensive than the outer rotating bezel. But when it is not free moving, meaning every time you rotate that crown, it just spins. This gives you 1 second or minute, let's put it that way, better for a diver's style timepiece, each time you turn that, okay? And again, only in a clockwise direction. So you can use this as a diver style timepiece. Now the watch is 200 meters water resistant, has been rated for 200 meters water resistant. I will tell you though, this watch has been built for 500. Now don't go running out and saying Mike told me my watch was 500 meters water resistant. I am not saying that, okay? It is rated to 200 meters. But when you get into something like just the crystal, let me talk to you about Wing's build quality here. That crystal is almost 4 millimeters in thickness, 3.8 millimeters to be a little more exact for you. But let's just say 4 millimeters in thickness. Do you know what the thickness of a standard watch is, like your nice kind of a sport dress or dress watch? That's going to come in at under a millimeter, like 0.8, or call it a millimeter. A dive watch, most 200 meter water resistant timepieces, such as this one, is going to be 2 millimeters in thickness. This is 3.8, just a hair under 4 millimeters. That is a super thick timepiece. When you see crystals that thick, you are usually talking about the super water resistant pieces at 500 meters water resistant or above. So when you go 316L stainless steel, hardened mineral crystal, plus the water resistance, very durable timepiece. Now, let's move on, shall we? The 4 o'clock crown is going to be for the operation of your Miyota 9015 movement. Now, if you've seen some of the earlier videos I did, I think it was the very second deal I ever did with Wing from Android. It was a 9015, and I did like a 30-minute video just on the movement alone. I'm not going to do that this time, but I will tell you, it is this movement from Miyota has been created to really compete against primarily, and first of all, the Swiss ETA 2824 freehand automatic movement. And for reasons that I'll show you more towards the end of this video, I really think it is geared towards competing also with the 2892, which is a stepped up version, a more high-end version of the 2824 from ETA, the Swatch Group. You do get a quick date complication on this for setting or correction of the date. You do get a clockwise rotation of the rotor that's in this, meaning on your watch winder you're going to want to set this to a clockwise rotation. Now that's a little bit unusual for an Asian-based movement, as the Miyota is coming from Japan. The vast majority of the time what you'll find there is that the Japanese or Asian-based movements rotate counterclockwise. This is clockwise. And by the way, on your winder, because I always get this question, depending on your winder and how it is configured, meaning how does the watch sit on it, the angle at which the watch sits on there, usually anywhere from 650 to 900 rotations per day are going to work for you. You're going to get about, or it's rated for 42 hours of power reserve, meaning from a full wind left on its own, not wearing or moving it to cause that rotor in the back to spin. Miyota says you're going to get 42 hours of power reserve before it winds down. Most of you will probably find that you get a little bit more, 44, 46, maybe even 48 full hours, but rated for 42. Accuracy on this movement is rated from minus 10 to plus 30 seconds per day. And that is a Miyota standard that is set, which is roughly the same as the ETA 2824, very, very close to that. So you are looking at a high degree of accuracy. Now, as I have explained before, Wing adjusts these movements when they come into his factories in Hong Kong, the factories that, by the way, remember that Wing owns, actual factories. From the 7 different positions that a watch is usually able to be adjusted to, these are adjusted in 2 positions, dial up, dial down. Okay, those are the 2 positions of the 7 that are available. So you will probably find, I'm not going to guarantee you this, but you will probably find, as many Android customers have, that if you track the accuracy of your timepiece, it will be better than the minus 10 to plus 30 seconds per day of variation that is considered to be acceptable. Okay, so great timepiece. Now, the nice thing is, very ample bracelet, and I'm actually going to turn this again so we can see the bracelet on this timepiece. By the way, that is a hand winding movement. That is an upgrade as well to most of the Asian-based movements. And it is a hacking movement as well, meaning if you pull out the crown, it will freeze the movement. That aids also in being able to track the accuracy of your timepiece. This is a very thick, I'll turn it a little bit more so you can see that, very thick timepiece, single piece link construction with this raised texture, again resembling a tank track or tread that's been going on there. That's what Wing was shooting for in that particular instance. It is 24 millimeters wide in the 316L stainless steel, obviously. And for those of you with a larger wrist size, especially my buddy Doug back in Texas, hello Doug, you can wear this 9-inch bracelet design that has been done on there. Friction pins, so very easy to size. It is done on a supported scissor style clasp, more expensive, by the way. It does have 4 micro adjustments that can be utilized on that, and it does have the diver's flip lock safety clasp. So it is going to be very secure on the wrist, whether you are using this to dive or not. Okay, so very ample bracelet, will accommodate the larger wrist sizes, and you're going to be able to get set up on that very, very quickly with your toolkit or by taking it to your local jeweler to have that size. Now, here is something that I really want you to be able to pay attention to. Okay? The Miyota 9015, and I don't have time to get into the whole thing with the Swiss. Many of you have heard this before. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can hit me up, info@hotnesspicks.com via email. I'll be happy to respond to you, or go check out my Facebook page. And on there you will usually see articles related to this. But the Swatch Group is cutting back movements from the rest of the watchmaking world. That is having a drastic effect across the board, not just with Swiss manufacturers, but the Russian watch manufacturers, Japanese watch manufacturers, or movement manufacturers I should be saying, as well as the Japanese, which includes Miyota. Now, this is going to be one of the last opportunities for some time that you are going to have to get a Miyota 24 jewel 9015 from Android. As a matter of fact, to be very clear here, there are no, for the year 2014, which for those of you in Rio Linda, that's the year we're in right now, there are no more movements 9015s that are going to be used in Android timepieces. In addition to that, there will be none in 2015, next year. Okay? So what you see Wing and Android having in stock and in inventory right now is what is going to be available to you. If you do not have one, now is the time to certainly and seriously think about getting one. If you've been thinking, you know, I'll wait on that Frontline again. Nah, probably not. Because in addition to not seeing any more of the 9015s in 2014 or 2015, you're not going to see the Frontline anymore. Wing has kind of decided that this one has run its course, so when it is gone, it is gone. This model will not be available, nor will you get any more opportunities through 2015 to be able to get the Miyota 9015 movement from Android either. Okay, so keep that in mind as you make the decision. Now, the other thing I want to throw at you is, and this is my challenge to all you watch folks, get your Google Ninja skills out, hit the interwebs, and find me anybody's watch. And I do mean anybody's watch. Miyota 9015 powered timepiece, and see if you can pick it up for $108 or $115 in the gunmetal. I keep saying that because I don't want anybody to be surprised, right? It is two slightly different prices. But seriously, go look and see what is available out there. You're not getting the Miyota 9015 at this price point. It's a cool design, it's a big watch, it's a heavy watch, it's a cool design. I love the way he's done the inner rotating bezel. I mean, just leaving all those other features aside, go find an ugly watch with a Miyota 9015. It's not $108. Okay, Wing's kind of giving this thing away. Nobody's getting rich selling this watch for $108. Trust me. Okay? So, lowest price point on this watch we've ever seen. As a matter of fact, Wing sells this watch on his website for $450. And it sold on Shop HQ under a special price point. I think the lowest was somewhere between about $190 to $250, somewhere in that price range. This is barely over, either one of these is barely over $100 for an automatic movement that competes well with the 2824 and, in my opinion, the 2892 as well. And speaking of that, let's wrap up this video. I've got to take this off the stand and kind of turn it around so you can see a little bit of the exhibition case back to show you this movement. So video's probably going to look a little funky for a second. Just bear with me while I attempt my movie making magic here. I'm just going to open up this watch. There, by the way, is the clasp, as you can see that I was talking about. But let me see if I can get the camera to really jump on that. Now first, without banging into the camera, Hey, I never said these videos were professional, so work with me. Notice we are looking at the top plate of the movement. Yes, I know this is the bottom of the watch, but for a watch movement, this is the top plate. We've already been through that. Hopefully you saw that. Notice the decoration that's been done on the top plate, and if I rotate it enough, you can see the bridges as well. That is that tuxedo stripe configuration that has been done on this. Then the other thing I want you to notice is the rotor, that guillotine-shaped piece that is moving around. I'm trying to get it to rotate a little bit. That's why it's shaking. Right in the center of that, you're going to see 3 little dots. Those are ball bearings. You will not find this on an ETA 2824. You have to move up to the 2892. And for those of you that remember, there is a test. What is that called? Yes, the ball bearing oscillating weight support. In case you didn't know, use that technical term. That's why I say that combined with the enhanced shock absorption system and other features that have been done on this really do make this compete with the ETA 2892 as well. So I'm going to get this back on the watch case here. Again, special effects with the big hands that are jumping in the scene there. Let's get that line back up. Let's wrap up this video so you can go make your purchase. Now, 5 color options. 5 color options. 3 of them in stainless steel. The charcoal gray or gunmetal dial that you see here, that beautiful blue, and the lime green, that electric lime green. Then you have 2 of those 3 options are $108. Then you have 2 that are done in a gunmetal IP plating. A purple dial and another charcoal dial, which is exactly what you see being utilized on this piece. Those are $115. 50 millimeters in case diameter, 24 millimeter wide, 316L stainless steel bracelet, hardened mineral crystal front and back, because as you saw a second ago, it does have the exhibition case back that's been done on there. Super Luminova on all the numerals and markings, fixed bezel that's been done on there with 4 fixed stations or chevrons. A dual crown design with the 2 o'clock crown. Again, just to show you without knocking this off the stand. Oh, is it going to allow me to do it? Turn only clockwise to rotate the inner rotating bezel, the clicking inner rotating bezel. Now that is not a lockdown bezel, as we said, but it is done in a more expensive way and different than what you will usually find on these timepieces. 24 jewel Miyota 9015 freehand automatic movement with your standard date display at the 4 o'clock position, operating at 28,800 vibrations per hour, hand winding, hacking movement, screw down crown because the watch is 200 meters water resistant. That's been done on that for an incredible price on a watch model that is not coming back. Frontline is being retired, and once again, no Miyota 9015s, no new watches with that movement for 2014 and none for 2015. Take advantage of this deal. Grab as many as you would like. This is an incredible price point for this timepiece. Again, Hotness pick coming to you, this time from Android. Great job, my friend. Hope you get the one you want. Shoot me a note, post on Facebook. Let me know which ones you picked up and added to your collection. If you already own one of these, post up a picture of the one you've got. Let folks know what you think about it. Go check out my page on YouTube, all that good stuff. Share this. Let your friends know about it. This is a deal not to be passed up. Automatic timepiece, $108. Thanks for taking a look.